The planet Valoria shined like a blue crystal under the light of three small suns. Its sky carried soft colors and its tall towers reflected gentle silver light. Today was an important day for Valoria. Leaders from different worlds were gathering for a peaceful meeting inside the Grand Hall, the most famous building on the entire planet. It was a place of bright floors, high pillars, and long banners that moved slowly in the cool air. Inside this great hall, Princess Leora walked with calm steps. She was the only daughter of Valoria's ruling family, known for her kindness and sharp mind. Her long silver hair moved softly when she walked, and her light blue eyes showed a quiet wisdom. Everyone respected her, and the people of Valoria saw her as a symbol of hope. Still, even with all this respect, today she felt a strange nervousness. Her palace advisors had told her this day would be normal. Many guests would arrive, share ideas, and build trust among different worlds. Yet her heart felt restless, like something unexpected was going to happen. While she stood near the entrance of the hall, many groups entered one by one. Tall visitors with crystal skin, short visitors with glowing eyes, winged diplomats. Every group came with honor and polite greetings. Leora welcomed each of them with her soft smile. Then the doors opened again and a new group entered. These were humans. Valoria had worked with humans for many years. They were known for their courage, strong emotions, and surprising creativity. Leora had met human leaders before, and she always found their energy interesting. Still, she never felt anything unusual when they visited. This time was different. Behind the human commander walked a young soldier. His name was Elias Ward, though Leora did not know this yet. He held his helmet under his arm and he walked in a steady, calm way. His eyes observed the hall with quiet focus. His uniform was clean but simple, showing he was from a modest background. His strong posture showed discipline, yet his face carried a gentleness that softened his serious look. The moment Leora saw him, her heart reacted before her mind could think. She had seen thousands of faces in her life. None of them made her breath pause like this. She tried to look away so she could stay calm, but her eyes returned to him again, as if they refused to listen to her. Elias did not look at her immediately. He kept his eyes forward, respectful, focused on his duty. He was not from a royal family or a rich home. He trained for years to earn a place on this mission, and he wanted to show his best behavior. Entering a hall filled with leaders from so many worlds made him feel nervous, but he hid it well. When his commander greeted the Valorian council, Elias finally lifted his gaze slightly. He saw the princess. For a moment, he froze inside, though his face stayed calm. He did not expect royalty to stand so close to him. He did not expect her to look at him with eyes that felt warm and bright. He quickly looked away out of respect, unsure if he should even meet her gaze again. Leora felt a small smile trying to appear on her face, but she controlled it. She did not want anyone to see her sudden interest. Her advisor standing near her noticed something but said nothing. The ceremony continued. Leora returned to her place at the front of the hall, but her thoughts stayed on the young human soldier. She watched him from time to time as the speeches went on. Elias stood quietly at the edge of the hall, guarding his group with steady attention. As hours passed, Leora wondered what made him different. His appearance was not the only thing. Many humans carried strength and confidence. Elias carried calmness. He seemed like someone who thought before speaking, someone with a steady heart. When the ceremony ended, people began to leave the hall. Leora stepped aside so guests could pass, and by chance Elias walked near her. For a moment he slowed his steps, unsure if he should greet her. Royal protocol was strict in many worlds. Leora gave him a gentle nod. It was small, but it felt like a spark between them. Elias returned the nod quickly, then followed his commander outside. Leora watched him walk away until he disappeared into the bright corridor. She felt an unusual warmth in her chest, something she could not explain. Later that day, Princess Leora walked outside the hall toward her private garden balcony. The sky had turned soft purple, and a light wind moved through the leaves. She often came here to think, but her thoughts were not calm today. She remembered the moment when Elias walked in. She remembered the way he stood, how serious yet gentle he looked, how respectful he acted. She kept telling herself she was overthinking. A princess did not fall into sudden emotion because of a simple glance. Yet her heart did not agree. She had been trained to stay calm in any political situation, But this was not political. It was personal. It felt new and surprising. Meanwhile, on the other side of the palace, Elias and the other humans were settling into their assigned rooms. Elias placed his helmet on a table and took a deep breath. Meeting the princess had unsettled him, though he would never admit it loudly. He respected the rules. He understood that a soldier and a princess lived in entirely different worlds. Still, her gentle nod stayed in his mind. He sat on the edge of his bed and looked around the room. It was comfortable and peaceful, very different from the training camps he used to sleep in. He told himself he should focus on duty. His role was simple: protect, observe, follow orders. Yet his thoughts kept returning to the moment her eyes met his. The next morning, the Grand Hall prepared for political talks. Commanders, advisors, and diplomats gathered inside. Elias was assigned to stand guard near the long corridor that led to the meeting room. He felt comfortable with the task. Standing in quiet hallways was easier than standing in front of hundreds of leaders. He kept his gaze forward, alert, steady. Then he heard soft footsteps. Princess Leora appeared at the far end of the corridor, walking alone. Her advisors were far behind her. She walked with her usual grace, but her eyes were not focused on the path. They were focused on him. Elias stood straight and gave her a respectful salute. To his surprise, she slowed her steps and stopped right in front of him. She smiled gently. "Good morning," she said softly. Elias felt his breath catch for a moment. He nodded quickly. "Good morning, Princess." Her smile grew a little. "You are one of the human soldiers who arrived yesterday?" "Yes," he answered. "Elias Ward." She repeated the name quietly. "Elias, it is a strong name." Elias felt warmth rise inside, but he stayed professional. "Thank you, Princess." Leora studied him with calm eyes. She did not hide her interest. "I hope Valoria has been comfortable for your team." "It is very peaceful," he replied. "Your people are kind." She seemed pleased by his words. "I am glad. Humans have helped our world many times. Your presence here means a lot to Valoria." Elias nodded, unsure how to respond to such direct kindness. Leora looked like she wanted to continue speaking, but her advisor called her from the distance. She stepped back slowly. "I hope we meet again, Elias," she said before turning away. Elias watched her leave, feeling something new growing inside him. He was not sure what it meant yet. He only knew that the moment she walked away, the corridor felt strangely empty. Princess Leora walked toward the meeting room with a soft smile on her lips. For the first time in a long time, she looked forward to the next day. Something had begun. Something gentle, quiet, and unexpected, and neither of them understood how deeply it would shape their future. The suns of Valoria rose gently over the crystal city, casting warm light across the palace towers. The new day brought calm wind and soft brightness, but Princess Leora's mind was far from calm. She kept thinking about the brief conversation she had with the human soldier, Elias Ward. His calm voice, respectful manner, and honest eyes stayed in her memory like a quiet melody. Leora had met countless diplomats, officials, and warriors from many worlds. Most of them spoke in heavy, rehearsed words with strict manners. Elias had spoken simply, yet with sincerity that felt refreshing. She did not understand why it affected her so deeply, but she did not want to ignore it. As she walked through the palace halls that morning, she found herself searching for him without meaning to. Across the palace, Elias stood at his assigned position near the outer garden corridor. He held his posture with discipline, yet his thoughts were not entirely focused on duty. Every time he blinked, he remembered the princess's smile from the previous day. He tried to push the thought aside because he believed he had no place close to royalty. His role was clear. He was a guard, a soldier, nothing more. Still, the warmth he felt when she spoke remained. Around midday, palace officials began preparing the upper council room for a large meeting. Lights were adjusted, chairs were placed, and long digital tablets were set on the tables. The hallway outside the meeting room grew busy with footsteps and voices. Elias stood near the entrance, watching everything calmly. Then the palace grew quiet. Princess Leora walked toward the corridor again. This time she was alone. She carried a small tablet in her hand, but she was not reading it. Her eyes were already fixed on Elias. When he noticed her approaching, he straightened his back and saluted immediately. "Princess," he said respectfully. Leora smiled softly. "You do not have to greet me with such tension. You make it look like I am here to inspect your work." Elias lowered his hand. "I only want to show proper respect." "You already do," she answered. "More than many others." Her words surprised him, but he did not show it on his face. Leora stepped closer, leaving only a few steps between them. Her voice remained gentle. "I enjoyed our talk yesterday. It was simple and honest. Many conversations here are too heavy with politics." Elias nodded. "I understand, Princess. Sometimes simple words say the most." Leora smiled again, pleased by his answer. She lifted her tablet slightly. "I was reading about Earth earlier. Your planet seems full of many different places." "It is," Elias said. "There are forests, oceans, mountains, deserts. Every part looks different." Leora's eyes brightened with curiosity. "I have seen pictures. I wish to visit one day." "You would be welcome there," Elias said quietly. Her heart felt warm at his sincerity. She took a slow breath. "Elias, may I ask something?" "You seem calm even in large crowds. Many humans I met show nervous energy in rooms like the Grand Hall." Elias thought for a moment. "My training taught me to stay steady. I grew up learning that when the world grows louder, the mind must stay quiet." Leora listened deeply. "That is wise," he shook his head lightly. "It is something I still try to learn. You speak with more calm than I have ever seen." Leora lowered her gaze for a moment, moved by his quiet compliment. Before she could respond, her advisor arrived at the far end of the hall and signaled that the meeting was about to begin. Leora gave Elias one last, gentle look. "I hope we talk again soon." "I hope so too," he replied honestly. She walked away, and Elias felt the corridor grow empty again. Later that day, the council meeting grew long and tiring. Leaders discussed agreements, trade routes, and future cooperation. Leora listened patiently, her thoughts steady on her duties. Yet part of her mind returned to her conversation with Elias. She found herself imagining Earth's mountains and oceans as he described them, and she wished she could see the world through his eyes. During a short break, the Grand Advisor approached her. "Princess," he said carefully, "I noticed you speaking with the human soldier today." Leora met his gaze calmly. "Yes, his presence is peaceful. I wish to learn more about him and his planet." The advisor nodded slowly. Humans are strong allies. Still, some council members believe royalty should keep distance from lower-ranking guests. They worry about public attention. Leora remained polite but firm. "There is no harm in speaking with a guest. He is respectful and honest. I see no reason to avoid him." The advisor bowed slightly. "I understand. Just be cautious. Some may misunderstand your interest." Leora gave a gentle nod, though inside she felt a small spark of frustration. She did not like when her actions were tightly guarded by rules. She was a princess, yes, but she was also a person who wanted freedom to choose whom she spoke with. After the meeting, she returned to her balcony garden. The sky held soft orange light as the suns began to move lower. She took a deep breath and looked over the peaceful city. Her heart felt lighter when she remembered the way Elias listened to her. He did not try to impress her. He did not speak fancy words. He simply spoke from the heart. She realized she wanted to see him again. Meanwhile, Elias walked through the palace garden on a security patrol. He moved with calm steps, but inside he felt conflicted. He enjoyed speaking with the princess more than he expected. She was kind, gentle, and curious, nothing like he imagined royalty would be. Yet he worried. He did not want to cause trouble for her. He did not know how the council viewed such conversations. His thoughts were heavy, but he pushed them away. His duty came first. His feelings were secondary. When he reached the far side of the garden, he paused. He saw Leora standing on her balcony above, looking at the sky. She did not see him, but he could see her peaceful expression. He looked down quickly, reminding himself to respect her privacy. Yet something inside him felt stronger each moment. It was admiration. Later that night, Leora sat in her quiet reading chamber, but she had trouble focusing on any of the texts in front of her. Her thoughts kept drifting back to Elias, his steady presence, his quiet honesty. She wondered if he was resting or still working. She wondered if he thought about their conversation at all. Her advisor entered quietly. Princess Leora, is everything well? She looked up with a soft smile. Yes, I'm simply thinking. The advisor studied her for a moment. About the human? Leora did not lie. Yes, the advisor sighed gently. Your heart is kind. Just remember that your choices affect many. Leora nodded respectfully. I understand. That is why I want to know people for who they are, not their rank. The advisor had no answer for that. He bowed and left. Leora turned back to the window. The stars shined above Valoria like tiny white lamps. She placed her hand against the cool glass and closed her eyes for a moment. She did not fully understand what she felt. She only knew that Elias Ward had touched something in her heart she never expected. And far below, as Elias finished his nightly patrol, he looked up at the same stars. He wondered if the princess looked at them too. A quiet connection had begun. Something gentle but strong. Something neither of them could deny. They just did not know how much this bond would grow in the days ahead. The following days on Valoria passed with quiet beauty. Soft winds moved through the crystal towers, and gentle sunlight filled the palace halls. Yet beneath this calm surface, new tension began to form. Princess Leora and Elias Ward had grown closer through small conversations, warm smiles, and short, peaceful moments. These moments felt natural to them, but not everyone inside the palace felt comfortable with it. Valoria's High Council watched everything with careful eyes. The council members respected humans for their bravery during past conflicts, but they carried deep caution toward strong emotional ties. They believed royalty should keep distance from guests who were not part of noble circles. Some feared that Princess Leora's attention toward a simple human soldier could bring unwanted gossip or political pressure. One afternoon, Leora attended a leadership meeting inside a tall chamber with glowing blue walls. Council members sat around a long circular table. They discussed new alliances, trade routes, and plans to strengthen protection around their planet's outer borders. Leora listened with calm focus, but she sensed a heavy air in the room. High Counselor Soren, a man known for his sharp mind and strict views, cleared his throat. His voice carried weight. Princess Leora, we noticed you have spoken often with one of the human soldiers, the young man named Elias Ward. Leora kept her expression steady. Yes, he has been respectful and open. He offers interesting views about Earth. Soren exchanged glances with the other council members. We believe it is better if you limit such contact. A princess must keep distance from lower-ranking guests. It may cause misunderstanding among the public. Leora kept her voice calm. Speaking with someone is not a problem. He is a guest and an ally. Soren looked less than convinced. Your image represents Valoria, Princess. The people admire you. They watch your actions closely. Leora felt a small pressure in her chest but did not show it. I understand. Still, I will decide whom I speak with. Respectfully, I do not believe friendly conversation with an ally creates danger. There was a moment of silence. The council did not push further, but the air felt colder. After the meeting, Leora walked down the long palace hallway. Her steps were slow, but her mind moved fast. She did not like being told to distance herself from someone she felt comfortable with. She did not want to hurt anyone, but she also did not want to be controlled by strict political rules. She found herself standing near the tall palace balcony. Her gaze moved across the glowing city. A gentle sadness filled her heart. She knew the council's influence was strong. She also knew they could take action without asking her. She worried they might try to remove Elias from his post. She did not want that. Elsewhere in the palace, Elias finished training drills with his team. He wiped sweat from his forehead and placed his training staff aside. He enjoyed physical work. It helped silence the thoughts that had been troubling him. He had heard rumors that some council members were not happy with how often the princess spoke with him. It made him uneasy. He did not want to cause problems for Leora. He respected her too much to bring difficulty into her life. Captain Wren, the human commander, approached him. Elias, I got new orders from the palace staff. Minor shift changes, nothing major. You will be assigned to the East Courtyard tomorrow. Elias felt a quiet sting inside. The East Courtyard was far from the areas where he usually crossed paths with Leora. Still, he kept his voice calm. Understood, sir. Wren studied his face. You good? Yes, sir. Wren nodded and walked away. Elias stood alone for a moment, breathing deeply. He reminded himself of his duty. His role was to protect, not to follow personal feelings. Yet he could not deny he felt disappointed. His moments with Leora had brought him unexpected comfort. Losing them felt heavier than he expected. That evening, Leora decided she needed clarity. She asked her advisor to give her a quiet walk through the inner gardens. The advisor agreed and followed her at a respectful distance. The gardens were peaceful with glowing blue flowers, soft stone paths, and small fountains that made gentle sounds. Leora walked slowly, her thoughts swirling. She wanted to see Elias again, even if it was only for a moment. She wanted to speak with him honestly, without fear of rules or judgment. She turned a corner and saw him. Elias stood near the training grounds with another guard, completing final checks before the night shift. When he saw her, he straightened his posture immediately. The other guard stepped away, giving them space. Leora approached him with calm steps. "Elias," he saluted. "Princess," her voice dropped slightly. "I heard the council has been making changes." Elias nodded. "Yes, it seems they prefer distance between us." She lowered her gaze for a moment. "I am sorry. I did not wish for this." "You do not need to apologize," he said softly. "Your duty comes first. I do not want to cause trouble for you." She looked up, surprised by his gentle acceptance. "You are not causing trouble. I enjoy our conversations. They feel honest and peaceful." She paused, searching for the right words. "I do not want that to disappear." Elias felt his chest tighten. "I do not want it to disappear either." A soft wind passed between them, carrying the scent of glowing flowers. Leora stepped slightly closer. "If the council tries to move you again, I will speak with them. I will not let them decide every part of my life." Elias shook his head gently. "Please do not risk conflict on my behalf. Your position carries great weight. I am a simple soldier." "You are not simple," Leora said quietly. "You are steady. You are sincere." That is rare. Her words struck him deeply. He wanted to respond, but the words felt caught inside him. Before either of them could speak more, a palace guard approached quickly. "Princess, forgive the interruption. There is a disturbance at the outer border. A powerful energy signal has been detected." Leora turned sharply. "Is anyone in danger?" "We do not know yet. Investigation teams are preparing." Elias felt a surge of focus rise inside him. "Captain Wren will want us ready immediately." Leora looked at him, worry forming in her eyes. "You will be part of the team." "Yes," Elias said. "It is my duty." She swallowed softly. "Be careful. You have my word." Within minutes, the palace grounds stirred with urgent activity. Ships prepared for launch and commanders gave sharp instructions. Elias joined his team, securing his gear and checking his equipment with fast, practiced motions. Leora stood on a high balcony, watching the ships ignite their engines. Her eyes stayed locked on one ship in particular. Elias was inside that ship, sitting in silence, feeling the weight of the moment. The ships lifted into the sky with bright trails of light. Leora whispered into the wind, "Come back safe." Far above the planet, Elias looked out the window toward the blue glow of Valoria. He felt the memory of Leora's gentle voice and her worried eyes, holding on to him. A new danger waited beyond the border. A new test for their worlds. A new test for the quiet bond. Growing between them, the calm days had ended. Something larger was beginning. The rescue ships from Valoria moved across the dark space with calm blue lights. They passed the outer border of the planet where stars shined like cold diamonds. Inside one of the ships sat Elias Ward, wearing his full gear, quietly preparing himself for whatever waited ahead. He looked steady, but his thoughts were heavy. He remembered the moment Princess Leora told him to be careful. Her voice had carried a softness he could not forget. When her eyes showed worry for him, something in his chest tightened with quiet strength. He told himself he must return safely, not only for his duty, but because someone important was waiting for him. Across the ship, Captain Wren studied the readings on the main screen. The energy disturbance that the palace detected showed strange patterns. It was not from any known enemy or natural source. It was something new. "Stay alert," Wren said. "We do not know what we are dealing with." Elias nodded. He kept his breath steady. He knew fear could cloud judgment, so he stayed calm, watching every detail. The ship slowed as they reached a wide asteroid field. The rocks floated silently, some small as stones, some massive enough to block entire ships. The disturbance seemed to come from deep inside this field. Wren gave the order. "Move forward. Slow speed, the team advanced carefully. Their headlights cut through the shadows between the rocks. Strange faint symbols glowed on the surfaces of some asteroids, as if something had touched them recently. Elias felt a cold feeling. These symbols look unnatural. Almost like messages. Ren frowned. Keep scanning. Suddenly, the sensors beeped loudly. Captain, a technician said, there is a device inside the field. It is attached to one of the larger asteroids. The ships formed a circle around the source. A large dark machine rested on a stone that spun slowly in space. It had long metal arms and a glowing core that pulsed like a heartbeat. The light was faint but steady, sending signals outward. Elias felt a sharp instinct. This device is not stable. It looks like it is charging. Ren nodded. We need to shut it down before it affects Valoria. The team began to move toward the asteroid. Elias attached his gear and stepped onto the floating rock with careful balance. The surface felt cold under his boots. A soft blue glow reflected off the metal walls of the device. As he approached it, he noticed tiny cracks running through the core. Captain, the device is unstable. I think it will release a high-energy pulse soon. Ren responded through the comms. Find the main control panel. We will try to power it down. Elias moved his gloved hand along the machine, searching for anything that looked familiar. The symbols carved on it were strange, but some shapes looked like simple switches and locks. He pressed his fingers against one panel and a small screen lit up with unreadable characters. He took a slow breath. I am going to try something. Using logic and pattern recognition, Elias pressed a sequence of buttons. The machine made a deep humming sound. The glowing core flickered. That is good, Ren said. Keep going. Elias pressed the next set of buttons, guessing based on the flow of symbols. The core's light grew weaker. Sweat formed along his brow as he worked quickly. Then a sudden jolt shook the asteroid. The machine's glow brightened sharply. A small shockwave passed through the field, shaking the ships. Elias, move back. Ren warned. Elias stayed in place. Not yet. I can shut it down. He pressed one last sequence. The core's glow pulsed twice, then slowly faded until the light disappeared completely. Everything fell silent. The team let out a breath of relief. Ren's voice came through the comms. Good work, Elias. Prepare to return to the ship. Elias stepped back. Then the asteroid shook again. Harder this time. The machine had shut down, but the long metal arms began to collapse inward, hitting the rock and sending fragments flying. A large piece of metal struck the ground near Elias, throwing him off balance. He grabbed the edge of the asteroid with one hand, holding tight. Elias! Ren called. Hold on! Elias pulled himself up just as another shockwave hit the area. This one was stronger. The ships nearby shook wildly, and one ship's engine flickered. Elias ran across the asteroid and jumped toward the rescue platform. A guard grabbed his arm and pulled him inside. The doors closed just as another vibration rippled through the field. We need to get out of here, Ren ordered. The ships pulled back, moving quickly through the rocks until they escaped the unstable area. As they flew back toward Valoria, everyone felt the tension slowly leave their bodies. Inside the palace, Princess Leora waited on a high balcony. She stood tall, but her hands were tightly clasped together. Her advisor stood behind her, speaking in a calm voice. The teams are returning soon, Princess. The signal's strength has dropped to 0. Leora nodded without turning her head. She kept her eyes on the sky. Her heart beat faster every moment. She did not want to show her worry outwardly, but inside it felt like a storm. Minutes passed like hours. Then she saw them. Bright lights cut across the sky as the ships approached the landing area. Leora stepped forward, feeling her breath grow shallow. The ships landed gently. The doors opened. Elias stepped out with his helmet under his arm, covered in dust from the asteroid. He looked tired but safe. Leora felt relief wash over her like warm water. She walked down the steps without waiting for her advisor. Her movements were calm, but her eyes told the truth of her relief. Elias noticed her and paused, unsure if he should approach. They were in public, with many guards and officers watching. But Leora stepped closer, closing the distance between them. I am glad you returned safely, she said softly. Elias bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Princess. The mission was successful. The device is no longer a threat. Her eyes studied him carefully, as if checking every detail. Were you hurt? Only light strain. Nothing serious, she exhaled slowly. Good. Nearby, Captain Wren watched the two with quiet understanding. He said nothing. The High Council members gathered at the landing area soon after. They praised the success of the mission, expressing gratitude to both human and Valorian teams. Councillor Soren spoke loudly. "This cooperation proves the strength of our alliance. Let this day show the truth that humans and Valorians stand together." Elias stood behind his commander while Leora stood with the council, yet their eyes met again, sharing a silent moment of understanding. Later, as the sun slowly set and the palace lights glowed softly, Elias walked across the courtyard heading back to his quarters. He saw Princess Leora standing near a fountain. She turned when she sensed him nearby. "You showed great courage today," she said. "I only did what I had to do." "No," she answered gently. "You did more. You saved this world." Elias looked into her eyes. "And you are the reason I wanted to return." Leora felt her heart flutter, but she kept her voice steady. "The council will meet tomorrow. Much will be discussed," Elias nodded. "Whatever they decide, I respect your world." "And I respect you," she said softly. The two stood in quiet calm, the sound of water filling the air. Their bond was no longer a small spark. It was growing, steady and warm. Valoria had survived a threat, but a new challenge awaited them. The council would soon decide what to do about the future, and the connection between a princess and a soldier would soon face the hardest test. The grand hall of the alien palace was quiet in a way that felt heavy, almost sacred. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting soft light that danced across the marble floors. The walls were carved with stories of victories and alliances from centuries past, and in the center of it all, the human soldier, Elias, stood with a calm determination that drew every eye, even the alien princess, Lysera, who watched him from her elevated seat. Lysera's heart raced. She had spent her life surrounded by advisors, diplomats, and ceremonial guards, but none of them had ever made her feel this way. Elias was different. Every movement he made, every word he spoke, carried a confidence and honesty that was rare in her world. Her mind kept returning to that first moment he had entered the hall. There had been something magnetic about him, something that made her pulse quicken and her thoughts scatter. She had tried to maintain her composure, to behave as a princess should. But now, as the tension in the hall thickened, she found herself leaning forward, desperate to see what he would do next. Elias took a deep breath. He had been briefed about the political tension between humans and Lysera's people, and he knew that one wrong word could spark a conflict that neither side wanted. Yet he also knew that honesty and courage were his strongest tools. "Your Highness," he began, his voice steady, echoing slightly in the grand space. "I come in peace. I come to offer friendship between our worlds, and I promise to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Lysera felt a shiver run down her spine. His words were simple, but they carried a weight that no advisor or envoy had ever conveyed. She had seen countless speeches, witnessed elaborate protocols, and yet, here was a human speaking with such clarity and purpose. The court was silent. Alien nobles and advisors exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to react. Some whispered to each other, questioning why the princess appeared so captivated. Others watched Elias with curiosity, sensing that he was unlike any visitor they had received before. Lysera finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Elias, why should I trust you? Why should I believe in your promise?" Elias met her gaze without hesitation. "Because I do not speak for myself alone. I speak for a people who have faced their own trials, who understand what it means to protect life. I have seen war, I have seen fear, but I have also seen courage, and I have chosen to bring that courage here, to you and to your world." The princess leaned back, her hands resting on the arms of her throne. She had expected diplomacy, perhaps even flattery, but not this honesty. There was no hidden meaning, no manipulation, just a human soldier standing before her with his words and his resolve. Her heart softened, but her mind remained cautious. The palace had rules, traditions, and expectations. A single misstep could ruin everything, yet the pull she felt toward him was undeniable. She wanted to believe him, to trust him, and to step beyond the walls of her upbringing. Before she could respond, a sudden commotion erupted near the entrance of the hall. Guards shouted, weapons raised. From the shadows, a group of rogue aliens, disgruntled nobles opposed to any alliance with humans, stormed in, their intentions clear. They wanted to disrupt the meeting, to assert their power, and to remind the princess that tradition was stronger than desire. Elias moved instantly. His training kicked in, and without hesitation he positioned himself between Lysera and the threat. His eyes scanned the attackers, calculating each movement. He was fast, precise, and determined. Every step he took, every gesture spoke of experience and skill. Lysera's heart pounded as she watched him. This was no longer diplomacy. This was survival. Yet even in the chaos he moved with a calmness that reassured her. The hall erupted in a blur of movement. The rogue aliens were strong and skilled, but Elias was stronger in both body and resolve. With quick, decisive strikes, he disarmed 2 attackers before they could reach the princess. A third lunged at him from the side, but he sidestepped, using the attacker's momentum to send him crashing into a pillar. Lysera found herself holding her breath, her hands clutching the edge of her throne. She had never seen anyone fight like this. There was a fluidity, a focus, and an unwavering determination that seemed almost impossible. And all the while, Elias kept glancing at her, ensuring her safety above all else. The palace guards, inspired by Elias's bravery, joined the fight. Together they subdued the attackers, restoring order to the hall. The rogue nobles were restrained and sent to the dungeons, their plans thwarted. When the dust settled, Elias turned to Lysera. His armor was scratched, his uniform disheveled, but his expression remained calm. "Are you unharmed, Your Highness?" he asked. Lysera's voice trembled as she answered. I am. Thanks to you." A quiet moment passed. The tension of battle lingered, but so did something new. A bond formed in shared danger, a connection deeper than any words could capture. Lysera rose from her throne, her steps deliberate. She approached Elias, her eyes locking with his. The hall, which had moments ago been filled with chaos, now seemed to shrink around the two of them. Time felt suspended. "You have courage," she said softly, almost to herself, "and a heart that does not waver." Elias bowed his head slightly. "I only do what is right, Princess. Protecting you is the right thing." For the first time, Lysera allowed herself to step beyond her royal composure. She reached out, her hand lightly brushing his arm. The contact was brief, but it spoke volumes. It was a gesture of trust, of admiration, and perhaps something more. The palace advisors shifted uncomfortably, unsure how to respond. But Lysera ignored them. For once, she was guided by her own heart, not by tradition or expectation. "I want to know more about you," she admitted, "not just as a soldier, but as a person. I want to understand why you chose to come here and why you care so deeply about our world." Elias's expression softened. "Then I will tell you. If you wish, Princess, I will share everything. My past, my people, and my hopes for the future." Lysera smiled, a small but genuine smile. It was the first in the hall's history that had not been rehearsed for formality or diplomacy. "I would like that," she said. The two of them walked together through the hall, talking quietly. Guards fell back, giving them space. The chandeliers cast warm light on their faces, highlighting the connection that had grown between them. They spoke of distant worlds, of the struggles humans faced, and of the hope that two different peoples could find common ground. For Lysera, it was exhilarating. She had never imagined that someone from another world could make her feel this alive, this free. She realized that for the first time, she was not confined by the expectations of her title. She was simply Lysera, and beside her was Elias, a human who had shown her courage, kindness, and honor. As the evening drew to a close, the grand hall felt transformed. It was no longer just a place of politics and protocol. It was a space where two beings from different worlds had connected, where trust had been earned, and where the first spark of something extraordinary had been ignited. Lysera returned to her private chambers later that night, but her thoughts remained with Elias. She replayed every moment in the hall, every word, every gesture. She felt a certainty she had never known before. The human soldier had entered her life like a comet, leaving a trail of light and warmth that she could not ignore. Elias, meanwhile, stayed in the palace quarters assigned to him. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. There were politics, there were doubts, and there were cultural barriers to overcome. But he also knew that something had changed the moment he stepped into the grand hall. Something had shifted, and it was more powerful than any mission or duty he had ever undertaken. He closed his eyes and thought of Lysera, her gaze steady, her voice gentle yet strong. He felt a determination settle in his chest, a promise to protect her, to stand by her, and to forge a future where their worlds could meet without fear. And somewhere, deep within the palace walls, Lysera whispered to herself almost as a vow, "You are not just a visitor, Elias, you are my choice." The night passed quietly, but the beginning of a bond that could change two worlds had already taken root. The princess and the soldier had met in a hall filled with history and tradition, and yet they had created a new story, one of courage, trust, and the first stirrings of love that neither of them could deny. The stars outside the palace twinkled with promise, as if the universe itself had witnessed the start of something extraordinary. And as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, both Lysera and Elias knew that their journey together was only beginning, and that whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them side by side. The grand hall had been a place of ceremony and formality, but now it had become the starting point of a story far greater than either world had ever imagined. A story of connection, of bravery, and of a love that began the moment a human soldier walked into the alien princess's life and never left her heart again.